Hello and welcome to the space that gives you inspiration on work, on life, and how to balance both worlds. I hope you have your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, your cup of juice, anything that rocks your boat, a pen and a notebook because things are gonna get serious. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can know every time one of my videos goes up. So we're in the final week of April, and last week, so the weeks before, so what we've talked about April has been purpose, and then how to build a personal brand based on that purpose, and then building a career or a business based off of that personal brand that is based off of your purpose. And one of the things that we said last week that there's 3 reasons as to why we want to build a business or a career around our purpose-based personal brand. 1 is to live a life of impact or influence, and then 2 is to build wealth, because we're not here. Jesus already finished dying on the cross for our poverty, so that's done and that's out and that's dusted. And then the 3rd reason is for us to live life. And live life to the fullest, because Christ came to give us life, and life in its fullness. So what's that life exactly? Because when you reach a place of, and I think that's why we're always in this rat race, we want to get to a place of financial independence, financial freedom, so that we can live life. One quote that I absolutely love says that, do what you need to do so you can do what you dream of doing, or do what you need to do so you can do what you want to do. Okay, so there's certain things that we need to sort out now, especially when it comes to our finances. And when we finally do, it then means that we can finally live life. And of course, I'm an advocate for us living life as we try to build our finances to a place that we can live life live a financially independent life. We still need to live life. And so today I do want to dig into this thing called living life, and living life to the fullest. And what exactly does that mean? And I remember starting this journey of living life to the fullest after I'd gone through a depression. And I was wondering, what was the reason why? And then I found out what the reasons were. And then now I was in a place where I wanted to find out, so what can I do about this? And in my journey, reading and finding out more about mental health and finding out more about depression and anxiety, there's one place, because I wanted to understand what is this encompassing of life, of this life in all of its fullness, right? And I chanced upon, and I can't remember where, but I chanced upon something about, I'd seen one called, I think, the seven F's, which was like the wheel of life, but I felt that there were certain things that were missing. So I found the 8 well-beings, which for me now became full circle to describe what does my life entail, okay? So that I can now live life to the fullest, because Christ came that I might live life to the fullest. And so there's 8 areas of our lives that we want to live to the fullest while we are pursuing our purpose, okay? And one of them is our spiritual lives, like our, before our own existence, our spirit beings exist, right? So what our connection to a higher power, to a bigger power, and that for me is God and His Son Jesus Christ. What's your connection to the supernatural? What's your connection to the spiritual realm? Because before you are a human, you actually are a spirit being. Okay, so the first area is our spiritual being. Like, how are you feeding your spiritual self? Because if you can feed all the other 7 areas, but if you've not fed your spiritual life, you will feel empty. So we need to be in a place, or I'm personally in a place where I want to do everything that I need to for each of the 8 well-beings so that I might live life to the fullest. So the first one is a spiritual well-being. The second one is the physical, because, well, after we are spiritual, then we are physical, right? So we're physical human beings. Things like what your body looks like, so things like exercise and sleep and what you eat are all encompass your physical well-being. Like, what health-wise, where are you at? Like, do you do medical checks? Do you check up on yourself? I mean, I got a huge cancer scare in 2018, okay? And I just thought to myself, I worked all this while and there's possibilities that someone out there can work all their lives and not physically present to enjoy what they've worked for. And that scared me. Like, I was just like, oh my God, this really can happen to someone. Like, you can work all your life and then you can't enjoy it because you're too sick to enjoy it, or you worked so hard and all the money you've worked for is being used to treat you while you're sick. So your physical well-being is so important in the equation of you living a life to its fullest, okay? Not to mention, your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, so you really do have to take care of that body, right? Yeah. So physical well-being. The third is the emotional. For me, when I read the emotional, it's really about your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your perceptions. And for me, that's the soul. That's a description of the soul, which is really the connection between your spirit and your body. It's the soul, right? And so taking care of that part of your body. I mean, I don't know how many times God, in the scriptures, we've had things like out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. That's also, those are soul issues, okay? Those are emotion issues, okay? So how are you feeding your emotional self? Like, who's feeding your emotional? Like, are you taking part in your hobbies? Are you listening to the right people? Are you accountable to the right people to help you in the emotional part of your life? So growing in that area is also another area that you need to grow in for you to live a life to the fullest. And then the fourth, I don't know if you've realized, all of those are kind of like, your spirit being, your soul, your body. Now we need to go out of ourselves, and that's the social. Yeah. What are your relationships like? Relationships with your close family, your parents, your children, your spouses, your friends, your colleagues. When I'm defining my life, I'm defining my life as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, as an acquaintance, because there's people who meet you and they're going to forever be your acquaintances. So what are you like to them? I don't know whether I should include enemies, but maybe we should. Like, there's people that don't like you and will never like you. So how is that going to affect your social life or your social well-being? So social well-being is another area of your life that you want to work on if you want to be in a place where you can live your life to the absolute fullest, because Christ came that you might live life to your fullest. And after we talked about your social well-being and the people that are around you, let's talk about the things and the spaces that are around you. Your home, your phone, your computer, your workplace, the road that leads to your home, the road that leads to your village, your parents' homes, the environment around you. What is that like? Because it does contribute to your well-being and therefore your ability to live life to the fullest. So working on that side of your life is also extremely important for you to live life to the fullest. And then there's the intellectual well-being. Now, I feel like the next three we already talked about last week. And when we talk about building your skill, building your knowledge, building your experience, we're really talking about your intellectual well-being. Like your brain, like our brains don't die. Our brains are the most intricate organ. It's the most intricate organ on our body. It grows and it also degrows. Is that a word? It degenerates. It degenerates, and it's based off of how you work it, because it's like a muscle, right? So how are you growing your brain? Like, how is that? Who are you listening to? Who's feeding your brain, especially with information? Because when you experience something, your experience tells your brain something. If you do something, what you've done tells your brain something. If you read something, it tells your brain something. If you listen to something, it tells your brain something. So your brain is constantly in a place of working. It's literally the last organ to go when you pass away, right? So how are you, and I mean, if the brain dies, the whole entire body dies, like, honestly. So how are you feeding your brain and therefore your intellectual well-being? And then there's the occupational well-being. Now, most of us live almost all of our lives only in the occupational well-being of our lives, and understandably so, because we want to get to a place of financial independence that can then allow us to live our lives to the fullest. But occupational is the things that we do with our hands to earn a living. Okay, so what are we doing in our occupational life? I mean, Jesus was definitely a carpenter. If his dad was a carpenter, he definitely was. Did he get paid to be a savior? Oops. Manuela, please stop thinking like now. Stop it. Manuela, stop. But our occupational well-being, we are called to work. Yeah. Jesus, God left, that story is told of the 5 talents. People who, remember the 5 talent story? 1 with 1 talent, 1 with 3, and 1 with 5. And then they're supposed to multiply. That's work. Okay, that's your occupational well-being. And Christ came to give you life that you might live your occupational well-being to the fullest. Okay, so how much are you living your work life to the fullest? Or are you seated at home watching social media and doing nothing? Because that's not okay either. There's something that you can do without social media. You're just not looking at what it is that you can do. And then last but not least, our financial well-being, which is what we talked about last week. Yeah, if you're living a life of purpose, you will get the money that you need. If you're living a life of purpose, you will build wealth that should go from your third to your fourth generation. So Christ came that you might live a financial life and live it to the fullest. So what are you doing financially for your life, for you to live your life to the absolute fullest? Okay, I just thought that this week we will talk about life and the 8 areas that encompass life, so that every time you're looking at your life, that's what you're looking at. So we've come from purpose, we've built a brand around our purpose, we've built a career or a business around that purpose, but we're remembering that we have to live our lives. And that's why I do what I do, okay? To help us navigate that equation right there. Okay, now there's so many products that I have for you that I'm going to leave in the description box. There's a purpose circuit for people that want to live through, how do I go from finding my purpose to building a brand, to building a business or a career around that brand? Please come into the purpose circuit. It's an annual membership program that we do for only 500,000 shillings. But also for those of you whose purpose is around early childhood, I have the childcare business course available to you right now, and I'll leave the links, all of those links, in the description box below. And for those of you who want to know, okay, so then this life thing, how do I manage it? That's parenting and motherhood. In a few months, I'll be working with you I'll be coming up with some products for you guys to also enjoy. Also, I must mention my shop on www.manuelapmulondo.com is finally open. In this shop, you can find every product I've ever created, and you can have access to it just like that from one place. It's one marketplace of all my products, so you don't have to wait for when they are launched, when they are not launched. It will always be available to you as long as you get into www.manuelapmulondo.com. You can get any of my products. Okay, until next time, I can't wait to see you. Bye-bye.